Thank you so much. This has been the first time I've done this with this like silent disco. This is pretty cool. When we get to questions, I'll throw on my headphones. But yeah, thank you everyone for coming. My name is Kevin Jones. I do developer relations for the Graph, but I also support the Build Guild. And today I'm going to be talking about stablecoins. More specifically, there's a challenge on Speedrun Ethereum that really dives into stablecoins. It's actually one of my favorite challenges because stablecoins are this really cool product that really came out of DeFi and really are a true kind of example of how we've kind of evolved on Ethereum to create stuff that, no matter what, we need to find a way to build something that's useful. And stablecoins, I think, are going to be one of the next really leg ups for adoption in crypto. I mean, they already are. But I'm going to talk a little bit about the challenge. I'm going to show off the completed version. We're going to do a demo of it so that you guys can see what the solution kind of looks like and talk about some of the things that you kind of will learn to understand when you're building the stablecoin challenge. So you guys can get the challenge obviously by just going to Speedrun Ethereum and then scrolling down to basically right after the onboarding batches. There is the over-collateralized lending. I recommend doing that one first. I think there might be some new people in the room. So, basically that one's going to give you a primer on what it really means to have over-collateralized loans on smart contracts. And the reason why that's important is stablecoins are really one of those use cases is over-collateralized stablecoins. So I have a doc here that you guys can scan if you want. This is the kind of the solution. So this actually has the answer and it has a link to the GitHub and the Speedrun challenge. And it kind of goes into very explanations on each part of the thing. So I recommend you guys check this out. I guess first of all, I want to talk about the different kinds of stablecoins. There are stablecoins that are what we would call what do you call them? One-to-one peg stablecoins. And these ones are, they're stablecoins in the sense that they're backed by treasuries, right? So USDC or Tether, for every single stablecoin that is minted, there is $1 that's actually backed on that stablecoin. Then there are under-collateralized stablecoins and algorithmic stablecoins, which are, Terra Luna, I'm sure you guys have heard, and some of these other not as efficient when it comes to using smart contracts to their advantage. And I would say safe stablecoins is a good example. They're not very safe. And then there's over-collateralized stablecoins. And so these are really focusing on the aspects of decentralization, at the same time being able to keep peg stability on the value of the stablecoin. So that's just good to know. The challenge that you're going to be doing is focused on the over-collateralized stablecoin. For the actual system to work properly, there's a few things that you need to understand. One is you actually need two things. You need an oracle, right? Because you always need to know exactly what the price of the asset is that you're providing as collateral in the smart contract. And so this could be something like a chain link price feed or some kind of other Oracle-based system that you're using that basically will let your smart contracts know exactly what the price of the collateral is. And then you also need a DEX. You need some way to do swaps, right? And so in the challenge, the Oracle is kind of a very static price. It's just kind of hard coded. So it's kind of good to understand that. And then for the DEX, there's a very, very simple DEX implementation that's already written for you. So you don't actually have to write a DEX. At this point, you probably have already done the DEX challenge and you understand that. Really, the core of the thing that you need to understand and write is really three things: is the actual stablecoin itself, which is an ERC20 token that is modified with some custom mint and burn functions, and a core contract that basically handles all of the minting. So in this case, we only have one contract that's in charge of keeping the supply matched to the amount of collateral that's put into the system. And it's the only smart contract that can do that. And then you have an additional contract that you use for staking, which is, we'll get to it later, but it's a way for you to incentivize people to hold the stablecoin into a smart contract so that they can earn some kind of interest on that smart contract, or on that stablecoin, sorry. And so when you first like set up the project, again, the DEX and the Oracle are already going to be written for you, and then you'll just need to kind of like focus on those other 3 contracts and go through and fill those out. Some of the core things that I'll mention about the stablecoin is it's again, it has a modified burn and a mint function, and only the engine is the one that's allowed to mint tokens. And so this is what keeps the system whole, right? Like in order to mint a certain amount of tokens, you need to actually like deposit a certain amount of collateral into the system, and then that engine is in charge of like minting the tokens to that user. And you can see here where there's like some access control that happens to make sure that that's the case, right? Like the actual sender needs to be the actual engine contract here. And then on top of that, for the mint function, you have the ability, for the minting, only the engine contract can mint. For the burn function, there might be a situation where the owner of the contract also needs to burn tokens in like an emergency scenario or something like that. And so, yeah, so I think what it makes sense is actually to show off and get started and show you like a little bit of a demo, and then we can actually dive into the smart contracts a little bit more. So if you weren't here on the previous demo, but I'll just kind of give a really brief overview of what I'm doing. Scaffold-ETH, so these challenges are obviously written in Scaffold-ETH. You need a few windows open to orchestrate your environment. The first one that you need is you need a chain up, right? So when you do set up this challenge, you basically get to determine whether you want to use hard hat or foundry. I've gone ahead and already chose hard hat. So when I run yarn chain, it spits up my chain and I'm ready to go. And then in this other window, we can run yarn start, right? And so that's going to spin up our front end, which is like React with Next.js on port 3000. And then we come into this last window and we can do our deploy. So again, this solution that I'm going to show you is like a complete solution. When you first get the contract, again, it won't be working, and you'll need to kind of like work through the actual Speedrun Ethereum challenge, and you'll need to go through and do different things. So to get set up, you can come here to this kind of like checkpoint 0, run this command to actually get the repo set up, start your chain, deploy your contract, and then start your front end, and then you can go through here and complete the challenge. So again, let me just review this again. So you can see here there's 5 smart contracts that come in this kind of setup. One is the DEX, which is basically a very simple DEX that's kind of already written for you. The ERC20 token with the modified burn and mint functions. Then there's the engine, which is really in charge of like making sure that users are staking collateral and getting the right amount of stablecoin and maintaining their peg. And then you have the staking contract, which is incentivizing people to be able to stake tokens, which we'll show off in a little bit. And then there's the actual Oracle, which tracks the price of ETH, right? So this is again like a dummy, it's like hard coded. So in a real world scenario, you probably have like something like Chainlink price fees or something like that. Oh, and then you also have the rate controller. I forgot, there's actually one more contract, which is in charge of keeping track of the interest rate, which we'll show off here in a second. Okay, so it's running. So let's go ahead and spin up Scaffold-ETH here on port 3000, and we'll kind of show it off. Okay, I'll make this a little bit bigger. Okay, so if you haven't used Scaffold-ETH before, you'll know that you get a burner wallet, right? This is like a burner wallet that comes built into the browser session. And so I can basically come in here immediately and just start getting some ETH. So I'm just gonna grab like a bunch of ETH from the faucet because we're gonna use 10 ETH for this demo. We're just gonna pretend that I'm a little mini DeFi trader, and I'm interested in doing some, basically getting some stable coins, right? And I'm going to come in here and I'm going to say, okay, well, right now I have 11 ETH, which is worth, $42,000 or $43,000. And I want to basically stake this into the contract. I want to add this collateral. So I'm going to add 10 ETH actually, so that I have just a little bit of ETH for like gas and stuff like that. And I'm going to take that and I'm going to stake that into the contract. Now the rules of the actual contract, if we load it up in Cursor real quick, we can take a look at the engine contract, which is inside the contracts folder here. Or actually, is this the right one? Yeah. Staking Oracle. Am I in the right project? Yeah. Oh, it's here at the top. Sorry. So at the engine contract at the very top, we're defining exactly what the collateralization ratio is. And so this is the amount that the user needs to have in the system before they can be liquidated. So Austin talked earlier about liquidation. The liquidation function is really important because what it does is it allows anyone that is activating and using the system to be able to liquidate anyone that is insolvent, who doesn't have enough basically collateral to cover the amount of tokens that they're borrowing against, or that they're trying to get back from their from the swap. And so this ratio you can kind of adjust, but in this case, we just want to set it at 150%. And then also the liquidation reward is set so that if someone does see a position and wants to pay back the actual amount in the liquidation threshold, that they can earn a reward and get paid for that liquidation. So this incentivizes keeping the ratio of ETH versus the amount of stable coins in the system equal. And then there's like a precision thing, which just keeps the rounding accurate. And so those are kind of important thing. And then there's like this kind of like time calculation, which I don't actually know what that's for, but we might get to that in a little bit. And so I've gone in here and I've staked, I've added 10 ETH of collateral to the smart contract. So now I should be able to basically get some stable coins out of the contract. So if I come in here and say that I want to mint $10,000 in stable coins, it's going to tell me exactly what my ratio would be. It puts me at about 180%. So I could probably go a little bit more. I could do 12,000. Nope, I can't. So 12,000 is too much. I'm going to be past that thing. It's not going to let me mint that. So maybe we can do it somewhere in the middle, and we'll do like 11,000. So I've put in 10 ETH. I might need to get some more funds. Let's see here. 11, 1, 2, 3 mints. There we go. So I had to get some more gas because I didn't have enough for gas. So I've put in 11 ETH and I've taken out $11,000. That puts me at a ratio here at the bottom of about 163%. So I'm good. I have this kind of like system where I can put in some collateral. No one can liquidate me right now because I'm in that right ratio. But I'm kind of like locked up. I could then take more ETH. I could take that stuff and I could like stake it, and then I could buy more ETH and then add more collateral, and I could do this kind of like looping thing that you often hear about with like DeFi and become overextended. But for this, there's also another cool feature in the challenge, and it's a simulation script where we can actually simulate a bunch of people coming into the system and trying to utilize this stablecoin. So let's do that. So we're going to run yarn simulate. And what this is going to do is like spin up some bots basically that are going to basically start activating into the system. Hopefully it works. Yeah, there we go. And they're going to start kind of like putting in collateral. They're kind of like whales. They're going to put in a lot of collateral, get a lot of stable coins. And what we see here in this price graph is the actual stable price of the token, of the MyUSD. And you can see what's happening is it's dropping drastically. And so what's going on is that we have this interest rate that we have set at 0%, right? So we're allowing like the bots just to come in, put their ETH into the contract and pull some stable coins out. And what that's doing is it's creating too much demand for the stable coin, and it's causing the price to drop. So like what's cool about this challenge is it kind of teaches you a little bit about like economics. In order to like stop that and to like decrease the amount of like need for DAI, or I should say like want for DAI, we need to take this borrow rate and actually hike it up and increase it. So if we take the borrow rate and we take it up to about 10%, immediately all of the bots are going to recognize that, hey, it's actually costing me 10% to put the ETH in, and you can see here that they're actually starting to swap back, and it's going to start moving the price back up towards the right dollar. And the reason why that's important is because a stable coin is stable for a reason. It's kind of like a reserve asset, right? You want to be able to like take your money out of Ethereum and put it into a stable coin because it's stable. Like you wouldn't want like the price of your stable coin to drop drastically because it's going to, it's not a reliable way to like put your equity in something other than like crypto or whatever it is you're using. And so the idea is that you're just adjusting this kind of interest rate to basically control the amount of people. And you can see it's actually still dropping. We could actually raise it a little higher. Let's raise it up to like 20%, which is like a real thing that's happened in the past with some stable coins. They've actually had to like raise it up that much to basically keep people from, you can imagine like a scenario where like, you know, it's DeFi summer and everyone is like very, very like into the idea that ETH is gonna, you know, go to the moon. And so everyone's just like staking their ETH so they can get stable coins and then, you know, swap for more ETH and then do the same thing over and over again. And people are very bullish for ETH. And so again, you have to use these mechanisms like this borrow rate to like slow that down. And you can see it's finally coming back up to its peg, right? But at some point it's actually going to go over. It's actually going to go over the peg, where that means that at some point people actually don't want DAI, right? The interest rate is too high for them. And they're going to start, the bots are going to start pulling them out. And you can also see that some of the bots have either been liquidated, right? Or they, have stopped trading because they don't want to, I guess they have too much risk. And so you can see that one of the bots is still kind of going strong, but now we finally have like reached the peg again, right? We finally recovered. Then we have this other like mechanism as well, which is called the savings rate. So just like we want to like limit the amount of people that are borrowing and like swapping for a stable coin, we kind of need to do the reverse, and we need to like incentivize people to actually hold on to the stable coin when it goes too high. And so then you can take and basically create like a savings rate, similar to like if you go to your bank account and you want to deposit some money, they give you like a small percentage in your thing. Same thing here, is we want to incentivize people to actually come into the contract. And so there's a way to do that in here as well. So we have these three tabs. The first is like adding collateral or withdrawing collateral. The second is minting USD or repaying your USD or what you borrowed. Or there's the staking operation. So then I could take my staking and I could basically stake it here, but I wouldn't want to do that if I'm not earning something. So we could like make this like, I don't know, 5% or something like that. And then we could stake that. So we could stake like $11,000 and then stake it here. So now I've taken that stable coin, I've put it into the smart contract and I'm staking it, and it's getting locked up there and I'm earning 5%, but I'm also paying 20% on my loan, which is not ideal, right? And so it's this kind of like balance of like balancing between the interest rate that is going on. And I kind of wanted to show you guys the liquidation as well, which is quite interesting. Let's see if I can do it, because it's tricky. You have to like balance it. But let me see if I can do it. So first of all, what I'll do is I'll borrow some more ETH. Let me add. No, I don't want to add any more collateral. Let me borrow some more stable coins. Sorry. So let's borrow 600. No, 700, 800, 900. Sure, 950. 70, 100. I'm just trying to get a bunch. There we go. So now I'm like, it kind of warned me. See, I'm like trying to mint more, and it's telling me, well, actually you can't do that because it's putting you in an unsafe position. So there's this like fail guard that you have to add. We're saying like, okay, well, like you can only mint like up to your ratio. You've gone over it. So I'm very much close to like the edge. I'm at 150.37. So I only need the price of ETH to drop a little bit for me to become insolvent and someone could liquidate me, or I'm losing track of like everything that you need to understand, but you get what I'm saying. Like I'm very, very close to the threshold and I could be liquidated. So what I'd like to do now is like lower this back down to 0%, and I'm going to drop the price of the stable coin. Okay. That's a weird error. It shouldn't be giving me that actually. Oh, it's because I don't have enough pay to gas now. I'm going to start the bots up again. Let me start the bots up one more time. So I'm going to start 5 more bots, and I'm going to lower this down to 1%. Let me refresh here. I don't know why it's not letting me hit 0. Maybe it's because the savings rate. Let me try lowering this first. I think it's bugging out on me actually. Okay, let's try it now. Okay, so I'm dropping the savings rate, and I'm also going to drop the borrow rate. so that the bots are going to start rocking. And what's going to happen is my stablecoin price is going to drop drastically. And I think what's going to happen is I'm going to probably be able to get liquidated here in this instance right here. So here it is. I'm dropping again. So you can see here my ratio. Let me borrow a little bit more. I'm just kind of trying to max out my position here. Let's see. I was able to get it to do it earlier. I don't know exactly why it's not working now. But you can see like all the bots are like the interest rate has dropped drastically and whatever. Okay, it's not working. Maybe if I come back in a little bit, I'll be in an unsafe position and I can try to liquidate it. So let's look a little bit closer at the smart contracts here. So again, the DEX will already be written for you. You don't need to really touch that at all. The Oracle is like this like hard-coded price of ETH. So in this case, it's 1,000 Ether for 1 USD. And the rate controller is what we're using here to control the rates. And so again, you won't need to mess with this contract. You'll spend most of your time in the MyUSD contract, which is the stablecoin, the engine, which is the thing that's controlling the amount of minting and burning. And then the last one, which is the staking contract, which controls how much people will get paid in interest when they stake their tokens. And so the USD one here, again, you'll learn that you need to create these custom functions that override the standard like ERC20 pattern. And so you can see here we have this like external ones that override, and then we just like use that burn function and then use that mint function. And again, each one has like access control. This one will only allow you to do it if you were the owner of the contract or if you are the engine. To mint, only thing that can mint tokens is the engine, because we don't want like the infinite money glitch to be able to happen. And then the engine is probably the most complicated contract, because that's the one that's going to have to make sure that the person is providing enough collateral. There's also the liquidate function in here, which you'll see here, there's a function that checks to see if the user is actually liquidatable. And so that's really important. And then there's a function which is a pretty big one, actually. Like you can see how big the liquidate user function is. It's quite complicated. But this is actually where anybody in the system can come through and like find someone that is liquidatable and get paid that collateral they have to provide the collateral for the user, and then they can earn the 10% on the payback. Let's see if it's done yet. No, it's still not. Okay, cool. So I think that's a good overview. Again, this contract, this GitHub will go into like much more detail about each thing. And I think for the sake of, see if there's anything else I want to cover. I really wanted to show you guys the liquidation, but it doesn't look like it's working. Let me try one more time to get it to do it. Try learn this one, 1%. Maybe, yeah. So I would do it here, right? So what would I do it? Like a big swap? Like how much? Oh, incognito. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So new incognito window. That's a good idea. So let's go here. Let's go to localhost 3000. So what I'm doing now is just like spinning up another identity, right? I have this yellow one and this orange one. Well, actually they're both yellow. And I'm going to get some ETH here. And you're saying like add some collateral, yeah? No, just swap. So just come here and then swap like 5 ETH, yeah. No, it's not doing it. And it did earlier. I was able to get it to this like bad state, but it just doesn't seem good. It's the price of the stablecoin is tanking though, because I'm not messing with the rates. Yeah, no, sorry. Well, okay, so we have like some time for like a couple questions maybe. So maybe I can do that, and then we'll hand it off to Shiv, and then Shiv's going to talk about prediction markets. So Yeah, does anyone have questions? It's a complicated system. I would say like stablecoins is like this really like cool evolution of like DeFi, and like the need for stablecoins is like, the story is really cool, like how contracts came to be, but it is very complicated. So hopefully I did an okay job at explaining it, but do the mission and let me know if you have questions. Any other questions in the audience? No? Bueller, anyone? Awesome, cool. Thank you guys for coming to the talk, and yeah, catch you guys later.